On the day of our 5th wedding anniversary, my husband's friend leaned toward him with a grin and asked in French, "How does your little assistant taste?" My husband, ever the considerate man in public, handed me a slice of my favorite cantaloupe before replying just as casually in the same language. "Very young, very tender. Remember to keep this a secret from my wife. If she ever found out, she'd surely leave me." The group erupted in laughter, each of them swearing they'd keep his secret. I stood there, my fingers tightening so hard around the wine glass that my knuckles turned white. They didn't know. I understood French perfectly, and I had already long known about my husband's mistress. Just yesterday, I had planned to surprise him with his anniversary gift ahead of time. I sneaked into his office without telling anyone, intending to give him a pleasant shock. But while waiting, half drowsy inside the storage cabinet, I was jolted awake by the sound of heavy breathing. When I opened my eyes, I saw the man who once swore to love only me pressing his assistant, Angela, against the floor-to-ceiling window. Their bare bodies writhed against the spotless glass, leaving smudged traces of their betrayal. They lingered there, entangled, for 3 full hours before finally dressing and leaving. I couldn't remember how I survived those 3 hours, only the descent from despair and heartbreak into numbness. But I never confronted him, never shed tears or created a scene. Instead, I quietly submitted an application to the country's secluded research institute. In 3 days, I would do exactly as he wished, disappear from his life forever. A sudden ringtone snapped me from my thoughts. "Arissa, I've already submitted your name to the research institute. In 3 days, someone will come to take you. Use these last few days to say goodbye to your family." The word family made my grip on the phone tighten. Ever since my parents' accident 4 years ago, my only family had been Logan. But now, he had betrayed me. And that meant I had no family left at all. "Professor, there's no need. Please just submit a request to erase all of my records," I calmly replied. There was a pause on the other end of the line before my mentor's startled voice came through. "Erase your records? Arissa, do you realize what that means? It will be as if you never existed. The world will no longer know a person named Arissa. And what about Logan? If he can't find you, what then? I thought your marriage was solid." A bitter smile tugged at my lips. "He cheated on me." The phone fell silent for a long moment before a quiet sigh reached my ears. "When you called yesterday, I suspected something had gone wrong between you two. I just didn't expect this." Another pause, then his voice steadied. "All right, I'll take care of it. Use the next 3 days to settle your affairs." Relief loosened my chest. Once my records were erased, I wouldn't even need to waste time on a divorce. "Thank you, Professor." The words had barely left my mouth when a familiar voice sounded behind me. "Who cheated?" I turned, meeting Logan's slightly panicked gaze. My expression didn't waver as I answered calmly, "My professor's other student's husband." He studied my face closely. When he found no hint of suspicion, his shoulders relaxed. Sliding an arm around my waist, he pressed a kiss against the crown of my head. "Baby, don't worry. That kind of thing would never happen to me." His eyes shone with such sincerity that I almost laughed. Instead, I asked softly, "And if you did?" Without hesitation, he shook his head. "Impossible. I only love you. I mean if." He thought for a moment, then brushed his cheek against mine, murmuring, "Then punish me by disappearing forever. Because baby, you are my life. If I lost you, I wouldn't survive either." I smiled faintly, saying nothing. "Logan, your punishment is already on its way. In 3 days, I will vanish from your world completely." Before he could speak again, a female voice interrupted. "Mr. Miranda, everything is ready." Angela stood before us in a form-fitting pencil skirt. Her tone was professional and detached. She looked nothing like the woman whose flushed face had been pressed against his office window just yesterday. Expressionless, Logan dismissed her with a wave. She left swiftly. Watching their little performance, I could only feel bitter amusement. Such perfect acting, both of them. If I hadn't witnessed their entanglement with my own eyes, I might still be fooled. Then his large hand gently covered my eyes. His voice lowered to a tender whisper in my ear. "Baby, I have a surprise for you. 5, 4, 3. At the last count, he lifted his hand. The night sky exploded with fireworks, blossoms of crimson roses blooming one after another until they formed the number 10, suspended against the darkness. He drew me closer, his tone heavy with sentiment. 10 years, baby. We've been together for 10 years. Time flies so quickly." I tilted my head back, staring at the glowing number, a strange daze washing over me. Yes, 10 years. From 19 to 29. Enough time to turn a boy who once loved me wholeheartedly into a stranger. Enough time to reduce a once true love into nothing but lies. Logan turned, his gaze burning as he leaned down to kiss me. I was just about to turn away when the chime of his phone cut through the moment. Annoyance darkened his features. I gave strict orders that no one must disturb me today. Let's see who dares to defy me. When Logan saw the name flashing on the screen, his expression stiffened for just a moment. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of the message header. 2 glaring characters stood out. "Little secretary." Logan cleared his throat softly and angled his phone away, his fingers tapping across the screen with calm practice. But I saw it, the flicker of desire in his eyes. Sure enough, the very next second, he turned to me with a look of feigned guilt. "Baby, I'm sorry. Today is our anniversary, and I should have spent the whole day with you. But the company?" I cut him off before he could finish weaving another lie. "I understand. Work comes first." Relief washed over his face. Normally, before leaving, he would give me a kiss goodbye, but this time he offered only a perfunctory hug before turning away. I stood still for a moment, then quietly instructed the assistant to handle the remaining guests and followed the direction he had left. He didn't stop until he reached the underground parking lot. The moment his car door opened, Angela shed her mask of professionalism and threw herself into his arms, lips pouting like a spoiled child. "Mr. Miranda, that fireworks show made me so jealous." Helpless affection softened his features. He tapped the tip of her nose with a finger. "Didn't I set off fireworks for your birthday just a few days ago? What's there to be jealous about? I promised you, as long long as you behave and don't expose us to my wife, everything she has, you'll have too. His words made my breath hitch. 5 days ago, the skies over the Southern District were lit up with a 30-minute firework display. That night, he'd claimed he was working overtime. I even snapped a photo and teasingly sent it to him, joking about which lovesick fool would go to such lengths to make his beauty smile. Now I realized that fool was him, and I was the greatest fool. Angela let out a playful hum, tracing circles across his chest with her finger. Am I not even allowed to be jealous? He caught her restless hand, his voice lowering, rough with desire. Didn't you say you had something good to show me? With a wicked smile, she yanked on his tie, pulling their bodies flush together. Hey, but Mr. Miranda has to open it himself. I guarantee it'll make you lose control. His gaze darkened. In one swift motion, he scooped her into his arms and carried her into the car. Angela gasped in surprise, but the rest of her sounds were smothered by his hungry kiss. The car windows tinted upward, and soon after, the vehicle began to rock rhythmically. Leaning against a cold concrete pillar, I could no longer hold back the tears. They streamed down, splattering onto the floor in heavy drops. I had already witnessed their betrayal yesterday, yet even now, seeing it again, the pain in my chest throbbed uncontrollably, raw and merciless. When we first married, Logan had sworn to spend every anniversary at my side, but now, just one message from Angela was enough for him to abandon that vow. Was he truly that intoxicated with her? I shut my eyes, forcing down the storm of emotions threatening to consume me. Just 3 more days, and all of this would finally be over. I didn't return to the banquet hall. Instead, I went straight home. The next morning, perhaps out of guilt for the night before, Logan sent over an elaborate set of jewelry. Baby, yesterday was my fault. Please don't be angry with me. I glanced at the jewels, then casually set them aside. Instead, I picked up a small box and handed it to him. I'm not angry. This is my anniversary gift for you. Don't open it until 2 days later. Originally, I had commissioned a custom brooch from a foreign designer as his gift, but on the day I discovered his betrayal, I threw the brooch away. In its place, I put the only thing that mattered, the wedding ring I had once vowed never to take off. That ring would be the last thing I left him. Curiosity flickered across his face as he accepted the box. Baby, yesterday was our anniversary. Why wait 2 more days? I smiled faintly, because it holds a special surprise. It'll only have meaning if you open it then. His eyes warmed with anticipation. All right, I'll do exactly as you say. I'll open it in 2 days. Just as his words fell, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, Angela stood there with tears streaming down her face, looking pitiful and fragile. A flash of panic crossed Logan's expression before he quickly took her by the arm and led her toward the back garden. Baby, Angela has something urgent to discuss. We'll talk outside so we don't disturb your breakfast. From the upstairs window, I watched as Angela flung herself into his embrace. But instead of indulging her, he yanked her away with an angry glare. Are you insane? I told you never to come to my house. If Arissa finds out about us, I won't forgive you. At his roar, Angela's tears fell even faster. Trembling, she pulled a folded piece of paper from her bag and thrust it into his hands. I know I shouldn't have come, but I'm pregnant. Her voice cracked, desperate. The doctor said what happened yesterday was too rough. The fetus isn't stable. I'm terrified, Mr. Miranda. What if something happens to our baby? This is our first child. My body froze. It felt as if a giant hand had clamped around my heart, squeezing the air from my lungs. Pregnant? Angela was pregnant? When we first married, we had discussed children. But Logan told me that a child would divide our love, dilute the devotion between us. He only wanted our marriage to hold the purest, most complete affection. And I, touched by what I thought was sincerity, had agreed. Now I realized, his refusal of children applied only to me. It hadn't stopped him from planting life in another woman. At first, shock flickered across his features. Then, reading the report in his hand, his brows eased into relief. 9 weeks? The first trimester requires careful rest. You wait in the car. I'll take you back to the hospital for another checkup. I won't let anything happen to the baby. Upon hearing that, Angela's tears transformed into a radiant smile. She rose onto her toes and kissed him. His eyes darkened, and he pulled her closer, taking control of the kiss with force. The two clung to each other, mouths desperate and unrestrained. Angela's arms wound around his neck as though she belonged there. Finally, Logan pushed her back slightly, his voice low and hoarse. Pregnant? And you're still trying to seduce me? You've got a child in there. Be good and wait for me in the car. I didn't come downstairs until I was sure he'd gone back toward the villa. Returning to my seat at the dining table, I found myself oddly grateful. Fortunately, there were no children between us. That was the only reason I could walk away without a single tie holding me back. When Logan opened the door again, the same familiar look of guilt was already on his face. Baby, something urgent came up at work. I need to travel out of town right away. Stay home for the next few days, and when I come back, I'll bring you a gift. All right? I nodded, showing no sign of suspicion. Only then did he leave with ease. Watching his retreating figure, I glanced at the calendar on the wall. 2 more days. That might be the last time we ever saw each other. That afternoon, a message arrived on my phone. It was an ultrasound report. I'm telling you, I'm already pregnant with Logan's child. This is his first baby. Unlike you, a useless hen who can't lay eggs. If you know what's good for you, divorce him and step aside. Even though the number was unfamiliar, I knew instantly it was from Angela. Carrying his child had emboldened her. She finally had the confidence to challenge me openly, but I had already made my decision. My heart was long dead. Not even the sight of that sonogram stirred the slightest ripple inside me. As expected, the next 2 days passed without a word from Logan. I used the time to clear out every trace of myself from the villa. Things I didn't need, I donated or burned. What remained were only the essentials I planned to bring to the research institute. On the morning of my departure, I rose early, packed everything neatly into into a suitcase and waited for the Institute's car to arrive. Just as I was about to call my mentor to check the pickup time, another message from Angela appeared. This time, it was a photo of her in a wedding gown, standing amidst a sea of flowers, while Logan knelt before her with a ring in hand. Logan proposed to me. We're holding our wedding today. He promised me and the baby a rightful place. The ceremony is just the first step. No wonder he's been so secretive these past 2 days. He was preparing this huge surprise for me. He said everything had to be perfect, even if rushed, that he wanted me to be the happiest bride and mother in the world. Next time he goes home, it'll be with divorce papers. If you still care about your pride, you'd better leave that villa before I throw you out myself. That house will be mine sooner or later. This time, I replied, congratulations. You're finally getting what you wanted. As soon as I sent it, the Institute's driver arrived. I picked up my suitcase and left. At a red light on the way to the airport, the sound of excited voices reached me. Oh my God, look at that. Whose wedding is that? So extravagant. Instinctively, I looked out the window. There he was, Logan in a tailored suit, sitting in the back of a Maybach. His eyes were tender as he tucked a loose strand of hair behind Angela's ear. When he finished, he turned, and his gaze locked onto mine. For a split second, his eyes were filled with shock. Then my phone began to ring.